$200,000 to get to certain levels of Scientology. To get to the upper, what's called OT levels or operating Thetan levels, it's going to take you about 300 to 400,000, if not more, of your money. And they do certain schemes in order to get access to those funds, knowing how to maximize credit cards, how to get credit cards in your name so that you can pay for these lessons. They start getting into real estate scams. They start getting to all these various different things in order to get money. They actually are doing fundraising now sometimes to actually pay. They do crowdfunding to pay for Scientology lessons. We are already broke. We are already on the bottom of the totem pole of the economic scale here in America. The last thing that we need as a people is a false savior. The last thing we need is someone who's going to exploit us and take advantage of us when we're looking for God. We're looking for guidance and we're looking for love. You're not going to find that in L. Ron Hubbard. He was a known Satanist. And the thing is that the information has been shown and proved. And we have his audios of him admitting to so many things. So the choice is really going to be up to you and what you're made of. Now, if your ancestry is that of a sellout and a coon, you're going to be genetically predisposed to coon. If you are within you to have a warrior spirit within you, yes, you're going to say, "Get ye behind me, Satan," and you're going to walk the line and hold the line for your people.
Hi, guys. Anyway, that was a little bit of Ish. I think Kelly put that up, I think. But I don't think Ish is quite here yet. I don't believe. Hi, Super Genius. Thank you. Thank you. I feel cute. I'm happy Ish is coming on. I've known him for a very long time online, but this is the first time we've talked actually live. I mean, I think I've interviewed him a couple of times, I think, but I'm not sure if I have or if I just talked about what happened within the Nation of Islam and Louis Farrakhan joining Scientology. But anyway, he will be here in a few minutes, I believe. And Kelly, can you let me know if that was you that put that video up? Because if it isn't, then I got to find out what's going on. I didn't put it up. Ooh, just loaded for you. I didn't put it up. Okay, but I see, but you loaded it and I clicked on it. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was Ish here. I thought he came early because he's a little bit late. He thought it was at 9. So I said, well, do you want me to reschedule it or come, can you make it? And he said, how about in 15 minutes? So I said, okay. So that's why I changed the time. Okay, now he's entered the studio. All right, the man about town.
Technology itself is a pay-as-you-go religion. So in other words...
Now, wait a second. How do I do this? There you are. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, Tori, I hear you fine. How you doing?
Good. I think one of my moderators put up a video of you speaking, and I thought it was you, so I clicked on it like, okay, Ish is here, So anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you very much. Oh
yeah, no, honored to be here, and thank you so much for having me, for sure.
I know it's so great for us to talk because we've been in touch for years online, but I don't think we've ever really. I didn't interview you, right?
No, we haven't done an interview. I know we were going to do one before, but it was like a schedule conflict. And I did have the pleasure of meeting you here in Las Vegas.
Right.
You came in like 2018, I believe it was. We had the opportunity to meet and stuff. But always a pleasure to be able to speak to you in any capacity. I'm always asking questions and you're always so forthright and sharing with accurate information. And I greatly do appreciate it. I mean, you really, really contributed so much greatly to bringing awareness. And that's not to be taken for granted. So thank you.
Well, you are very welcome. I'll give these guys just a little bit of an update so they know. Ish and I met, I think, online, basically. Yeah. What happened was Louis Farrakhan announced on TV that everyone was going to be on course by Tuesday night, or we're going to thank you and say goodbye.
Right.
And I thought, oh my God, I'd heard he was in Scientology and he runs the Nation of Islam. And I thought, oh my God, this is disconnection, And so I made a video. I fired up my webcam and I made a video to the African-American community saying, look, I was in this for 30 years. There were 5 Black people for 30 years. That's it. Mm-hmm. They're very racist. And so I said, don't get suckered into this. And I said, they're looking for people, money, and connections. That's it. And that's true for anybody. That's really true for anybody that joins them. That's what they're looking for.
Right.
Whatever culture they are.
You said bodies in the shop. That's what you called it back then.
Bodies in the shop. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. But I knew now they were going after the African-American community. They still are, but they're more now really into the Latina community. And so I've made videos about that. And that's how I kind of got into live streaming, because I was trying to tell these young kids, look, they're after you guys. Mm-hmm. And finally, someone said, why don't you make a video and put it on TikTok? And I don't really do TikTok, but I met these live streamers via TikTok.
Right.
And my friend Andrew Crane, who used to work at the Egyptian next to the testing center, called me up and he said, look, type in TikTok, Jessica Palmadessa. And I said, Andrew, I don't do TikTok. And he said, Tori, listen to me. And he knows me. And he said, type it in. And I laughed. She is very, very funny. And, it was her and Will. Will, do you know Will?
I know Will, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Will was out in front and they said, get off our property. You're not allowed on our block. And Will is like, he's got to film the police LA. He's out on the street all the time. He's known the streets LA, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, pardon me? And he said, look, I don't care about getting these people out, but I'm going to shut them down. And I'll tell you, Ish, every building in Los Angeles for a year has had every window shut down.
Right.
Every window.
Right.
He's really done. He's out there.
And as soon as they see him coming, they start to flee. You know what I mean? So, or he's saved many people. You see them in mid trying to win people over, and he'll get them from their clutches.
I know, he's really great. So they do the same for me. If I walk up, they just shut the doors. It's just how can you sell freedom? First of all, you can't sell freedom. It doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. But how did you? That's what I'm dying to find out. How you personally? That's how I met you. Because you started, it's the Scientology Invasion of the Black Community on Facebook.
That's right. Yep, I started up that forum and stuff, and got some good allies that assisted me. Professor Denham L, Layla Wills were very instrumental in laying a good foundation of information. Right. And I saw something that was going on in like 2007. I started seeing this relationship taking place, and I deferred this information I was coming across to some of the elders in the community, saying, listen, there's a relationship that's going on here that's not adding up. And one of the elders had told me, his name was Steve Coakley. He told me that there some whispers going on of them making some moves in Los Angeles. I was like, Los Angeles, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. He's like, but it's something going on in like the Inglewood area of something that's being planned. Unfortunately, he ended up passing away not too long after his health started to fail. But I followed up on the information of what he was giving me. And the other person that was making the early videos with me, Professor Denham L, he was in South Africa at the time. Oh. And his family got brought into Scientology over there while he was in South Africa. So he actually went and joined the South African church in order to get his family out, his wife and his daughters out. And when I called him, he was in South Africa at the time. He said, I'll be back in about 4 to 6 months. And then you and I can kind of start putting out some information, because I have some information of what I've seen over here from South Africa. He came back to the United States, and we started the information, putting it out there. And we started saying they're hiding something, And that's when Farrakhan came forward with Put On the New Man. He came forward after we started dragging him out and exposing something that was taking place. Our DVD was already out and selling in Harlem, New York. So this was really the advent of YouTube wasn't necessarily where it is now, right? So at the time, we were still doing the DVDs and burning DVDs and selling them on the street. So it started selling, and it started getting back that something was going on with the Nation of Islam. And they really trusted me from me having a well-established relationship within the community. They know I'm not going to come forward with misinformation unless I can prove what I'm saying.
Right.
So once he put on the new man, Farrakhan acknowledged this relationship, and then people started.
What was the new man? Explain that to us, because I don't know that.
Well, that Put On the New Man was the response. Your video was a response to that video. When he started acknowledging that relationship between Scientology, that's when you came, and you had the first video that went viral. Right. Your video had more views than any of our DVDs. So it was a perfect storm of this technology of YouTube. Somebody from Scientology being able to pinpoint what was going on from a perspective of something that we did not know. Right. Professor Denham L knew it because he went through the Scientology process. But for us to verbalize it, it had to come from someone from that side that can kind of explain what was going on. So it was a perfect storm of somebody with good energy, with a good intent, and it lined up perfect, right?
Yeah, so, it really was. It was like a perfect storm. It really was.
It went viral, right? It was like 100, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views were like wow, 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 wow. So it was amazing. It was amazing. And like I said, just reaching out to you, you always just had good energy and sharing the information. So it worked out great.
I know, it was so great. I remember a lady called. Well, two things happened on my end. One, 2 days after I posted it, a friend of mine called me and she goes, "Turn on the TV." You know, I'm the same as I was then. I'm in my bedroom, right? That's where I've always made my videos. So I don't have like a big studio or anything. You know, I'm just here with my stuffed animals and my bedroom and whatever. You know, it's kind of corny, but I like it that way because it keeps it light. Because if you remember back in the old days in 2000, there were some really heavy critics that would make videos and they would be like, Scientology's this and Scientology's that. And I felt like it would scare people. So I started doing these stuffed animals with, you know, Mr. Anonymous. I met, you know, Andrea.
Anonymous. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And, you know, just goofy things. And people from other cults started calling me and saying, you know, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, but we started laughing at you, making fun of you. And then, you know, we woke up, we realized we're doing the same thing. But anyway, my friend said, turn on the TV. You're not going to believe it. And I turn on the TV, and I don't know this person, but it's called Crow TV.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know that?
Yeah.
And he came on and said, look, Louis Farrakhan has totally flipped out. And we're going to put on an expert to tell you about it. And they played my little video from my bedroom.
Yeah, and that was Munir Muhammad. And Munir Muhammad was one of the elders in Chicago. So he was from headquarters of the Nation of Islam. He was a longtime supporter of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he had a lot of pull within the Muslim community. So that was Brother Munir Muhammad. He ended up passing away. But for him to bring forward, that just ended up pushing it even more as far as the importance of the message you were sharing.
Yeah, it really helped. And then the other one was some lady called me and told me about my video going viral. And I said, why? And she said, because you're the only person who told us what's going on. And she said, I'm writing a book called Scientology and the Nation of Islam.
And that was Layla Wells. And she was one of the people that was sharing the information from my side and was giving good insight also as a journalist. Yeah. Right.
And on your side, I met A. Mohammed. Remember a guy that was on there?
Yeah.
And Lynn and I went out to Inglewood. They now have out there, to you guys that are on here, they have a I don't know what it is. It's not a church of Scientology. It's a community center. That's what it is.
It's a community center, exactly.
And I said to Lynn, who's African American. I said, let's go out there and see what's going on. Because I knew something was fishy. And we go out there, and there's a whole line of people standing outside of it.
Right.
And I said, what's going on? We parked our car. We went up there, and I asked someone, I said, what's going on? They said, they kicked us out. And I thought, leave it to Scientology. And I knew what happened because the lady that had rented it or said she was coming to use it was a psychiatrist or a psychologist.
Yeah, she was a Black psychologist, and you're correct. That's right. I remember that when y'all did that. I remember that.
And I figured she probably said, no, we're not using Dianetics. And they went, okay, get out.
Yes,
and,
you're the enemy, right?
Yeah, and then the guy comes to me, and some staff member comes out and says, "What is your name?" I said, "Who the hell cares what my name is? What's your name, man? You're the one that kicked these people out. This is ridiculous."
Right.
You're trying to pretend you're a community center and you kick these people out. It was like offensive to me. But anyway, I'm really proud of you because you've done a lot, and I want you to explain more to us. Like, how can Louis Farrakhan, is he still in it? Is he still in Scientology?
He is still in it. And I do a basic PowerPoint. I still get invitations to come through and kind of bring people up to speed with some of the things that are going on. And I would like to be able to kind of share some information or just kind of give an overview of the basic PowerPoint of what I give. And that'll kind of add some context of what they're doing right now and kind of where they kind of came from. Is it okay if I kind of just do the PowerPoint and kind of go over it? Okay, so what I'll do is just kind of share the screen here. Let's see if we can get this shared.
Can you put it up on the thing? Do you know how?
Yeah, we'll go. I got it. Let's go here. Put this here. I think you got to give me permission to share the screen.
Do I have to?
Yeah, I think if you give me permission to share the screen, it should allow me to post it up.
How do I do that?
I think on the back side, on the back chat, I think there's something for you to click that allows me to present.
Kelly, I don't know what it would be.
Yep, you just did it. Look at you, you tech guru, you go ahead. I knew you had it in you. Okay, let's go here. So this is Scientology in the Black Community, a match made in hell, part 1. And this is, I just kind of bring the people up to speed with the relationship of what took place, right? And it's a refresher for the experts like yourself. But again, it kind of just lays a context of kind of that relationship, right? Of course, we know this quote from L. Ron Hubbard: the only way you can control people is to lie to them. You can write that down in your book in great big letters. The only way you can control anybody is to lie to them, right?
Wow.
We know that's what the quote was to L. Ron Hubbard. Of course, we always give them the opportunity to click and to listen to him say it himself. It was also played when I was on Leah Remini's program. They played the quote also. Oh, and shout out to Leah Remini. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Terry.
You've got to send me that.
What's that?
That quote. Just after this.
Yeah. I'll send it to you for sure. Yeah. And like I said, we give them the opportunity to.
How will you learn that when you're $300,000 in?
The man on the cross. There was no Christ, but the man on the cross is shown as every man. So of course each divine man has to be conceiving of sympathy for this man.
They're walking into your church telling you to join up with Scientology and just try this Dianetics.
I can't hardly hear that.
Once you go up the bridge, that there is no Christ. That's what they're going to tell you.
Yeah, and beyond even that, Ishmael, is there's no Allah. There is no religious leader who has ever existed that was anything other than a thing designed to control people.
Yes,
that is the actual teaching of L. Ron Hubbard.
Right.
That they are things that were implanted in your mind. They're called implants, and that they are designed to control the population. All religion is that, except Scientology.
religion is always different than truth. It has to be. Because the only way you can control people is to lie to them. You can write that down in a book very big letters. The only way you can control anybody is to lie to them.
So I just wanted to show you that that was the actual quote that was from L. Ron Hubbard, you know, for people to get
Okay.
on there.
Yeah, I don't think we should do too much because it's hard to hear. It's really hard to hear.
It's hard to hear. Yeah, okay.
Very hard.
I just wanted to put it in context as far as that was the quote that was coming from him. This is
Yeah.
one of the boards that they have in the Nation of Islam meetings, you know, which one will survive the War of Armageddon, and they have Christianity and Islam on this side and the cross. But we just updated it with Scientology, right? We put the Scientology cross, right?
And this is recent?
Yes, this is something that's always been in the Nation of Islam. This is just an updated version that we added to kind of put it into perspective. You know, they're still under the cross now of Scientology, right?
How can this be though? You know, OT3, Hubbard
Right.
was against Christ, Jesus, Christians, churches, angels, anything. I don't know that much about the Nation of Islam, but I think you guys are, you know, that would be offensive.
It would be a conflict of interest. As soon as you come into the awareness of exactly what you're denouncing, something within you should cause some type of turmoil, right? Because you're this man is telling you that there's no Christ. How are you a religion and yet this person that is telling you, number one, that the only way that you control a person is to lie to them? What kind of religious leader commands his followers to lie to you?
Right.
Who does that, right?
Right.
So we also go over the fact that the DeWolf family was one of the largest slave-owning families in the Americas, right? The DeWolf family was one of the wealthiest families in New England. And of course, this is a direct descendant of L. Ron Hubbard. He's a DeWolf. And this DeWolf family is known and made a great amount of wealth in the slave trade, right? So we go over that in the communities when I'm sharing this information too about the DeWolf family.
Well, have you ever heard of Jamie DeWolf?
I had the pleasure of meeting Jamie DeWolf, and we had a good over 3-hour conversation in Clearwater. We were at the Flag Down event. And we had dinner and we had a chance to talk. And what a pleasant man.
Yeah, just so anybody here, if you don't know, Jamie DeWolf is the great grandson of L. Ron Hubbard.
Absolutely. With the fiery red hair and charismatic and just a real
Scientology.
Yeah, definitely wants to save lives and stand on the truth. And like I said, we had a really good 3+ hour conversation. So shout out to Jamie DeWolf for sure.
Okay.
So we go over that part of the history. We go over this part in 1971. The leader of the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he had a book called Muhammad Speaks. It was a weekly newspaper. And in this newspaper, he specifically denounced Scientology. They asked him about Scientology in 1971.
Wow.
And this is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to say about Scientology. Whites in the USA, South Africa, Britain, Sweden, West Germany, and other countries of this sort are fleeing Christianity into other spookish religions such as Scientology. Reverend A. Marin left and Reverend K.J. Whiteman of New York are spreading this religion, which continues belief in ghosts, witches, spirits, and demons, but conceals this primitive mysticism behind pseudoscience of astrological sort. Electronic devices and other modern gadgets are being used because they are felt to be objects. And it just goes through about him denouncing Scientology specifically. Now, this is the man.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but so I don't forget it. How does Louis Farrakhan justify the e-meter and stuff?
Exactly. Now, this is the man who taught Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan was his national representative in the 70s. This is the man who taught Malcolm X. He taught Muhammad Ali. He taught Louis Farrakhan. He laid the foundation of the Nation of Islam. They specifically asked him about Scientology, and he denounced it.
Wow.
Now, this is in 1971, and he went off the scene a couple of years later, right, in 1975. So in 1971, it was already brought to his attention, and it was denounced, right? So when challenged on this, they really have no answer. Because what else is there to say? It's put into the national publication of it being denounced, and you're going against exactly what the founder said, right?
Right.
Okay, so we go over the process church. You ever come across the process church? The process church at all?
Have I gone to
Yeah.
it?
Well, have you ever heard about it, like the process church out of Los Angeles and stuff out west?
I have not, but let me ask you a question before you go into that.
Sure.
Because JB808 asked, are the Nation of Islam members introduced to Scientology? Are they all introduced to Scientology, A? And B, how much influence does Scientology have over the Nation of Islam today? That's a good question.
Oh, very good question indeed. Yes, they are all brought into the awareness of the Nation of Islam. And in fact, in order to become what's called a laborer in the Nation of Islam, a laborer is like an official member of the Nation of Islam. To be a laborer in the Nation of Islam, you have to accept Scientology. In fact, if you denounce Scientology, he will send you on your way, right? He'll say thank you, but no thank you, and send you on your way unless you become accepting of Scientology. So it's a prerequisite.
My understanding way back when I first met you was that it was like a section of Nation of Islam went along with the Scientology thing, but a bunch of Nation of Islam didn't. Is that still true or not?
Well, you cannot be a laborer unless you accept Scientology and go through the process. You cannot be a laborer, right? And also now they openly call themselves Scientologists. And I'm going to prove what I say. Before, if you remember, in the first time, in the early days, they would say, oh, no, we're only dealing with Dianetics. We don't deal with Scientology.
Right. I remember that. I met them.
Yeah, see, you were at the ground level. So you remember that lie, right?
Yeah, I do.
Now they openly say that they're Black Scientologists.
Unreal. Because I remember we were protesting and these big Black guys would come up. And I said to my friend, this is the Nation of Islam. And I said, are you a Scientologist? And they went, no, we are Dianetists.
And you warned them many times of what they were going to become. You let them know. I let them know. Many people let them know you're going to become a Scientologist.
Yeah,
and that community center that you talked about, that's now the official location of the West Coast Los Angeles quote unquote mosque. They meet at that place full time as their home.
Really?
Yes, that's where they meet full time.
Wow.
Right? So this process church, this is from the FBI records. It deals with the process had its origin in Arizona State Prison. A total number of members of this group is unknown. But this is where Charles Manson, he deals with the process church and the Nation of Islam and Scientology. He deals with that connection. But it says here that on May 12th, 1972, somebody edited out, furnished the following information to a representative of the FBI from Los Angeles regarding the process church and the final judgment. This organization is run by, who is also known as, source believes the organization is either a cell or splinter group of the Church of Scientology. So this process church was a spinoff of the Church of Scientology.
Yeah.
Source further advised that the Magical Mystery Museum in Los Angeles, California, is a front for this satanic-oriented cult. Source supplied the name of 6 individuals believed to be members of the process church and further advised the process acted as an enforcer or muscle for the Church of Scientology.
Wow. I have never even heard of the Process Church.
Yeah, the
Someone
Process
else
Church.
here on the comments said they had heard of it, and it's known. Scientology has a term. They're a squirrel group, which means they're like Est was a squirrel group, and
Squirrel in the tech, right? That means pulling something away, a spinoff, right? A spinoff.
It's not really correct.
Right, right.
You got in trouble if you went to those. But I've never seen them or even heard of them until you mentioned it.
Let's see if this audio comes through a little more clear. Let's see how this is.
I would like to go to one of those. Would I be able to get in?
Good question.
Yeah. I was in prison when Dianetics.
Can you hear this a little better now?
Not too much.
Yeah, 1950. We fought the establishment. The black Muslims were coming in with the Quran on the dark side of the moon, and the Islamic arm of the church and the Masonry. I don't know how to put the Masons involved in that. I don't want to get tripped up in with anyone else on any other level. But he come up with Dianetics 1950. So a lot of the guys were interested in studying the way to process the mind, how to clear your mind from past confusion, how to resurrect the soul and be reborn within yourself. So that's where Scientology started. And then they started selling it, and then it got to be the process. And then the Church of the Last Day, the Last Judgment, I sent some people to England. I couldn't go myself, but I sent some people there to do some certain things to make an effect, to cause an awakening of an awareness.
So just to make it clear, this is Charles Manson was talking about the Muslims were dealing with the Process Church, and also that Process Church with the Church of Scientology. That's what he's sharing, which lines up directly to what the FBI was talking about at that particular time. Of course, Charles Manson remembered when, as he said just now, that he was there when it was being established in 1950 and in 1952, respectively. Right.
Wow.
So he's just going over that particular history. And of course, we know that Charles Manson gave the quote that he left Scientology because it was too crazy. Right. He said it was too crazy for him. So, hey, Charles Manson, whatever. Now, people wonder, how did, Minister Farrakhan get involved in Scientology, right? Louis Farrakhan got involved in Scientology because he had an early minister named Minister Ulysses. And Minister Ulysses had taken over the temple in Boston, Massachusetts. So this is from the book Soundtrack of a Movement, page number 97. Just gives you the reference that Temple number 11 was officially founded March 1954, led by Minister Ulysses X, right? Minister Ulysses X had replaced Malcolm X, because Malcolm X used to be the minister before Ulysses. Ulysses then left the Nation of Islam and became a member of the Church of Scientology. Now, Ulysses X goes and becomes a Scientologist. He meets Louis Farrakhan in 1976. Remember when I said that Mr. Louis Farrakhan's leader, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, left the scene in 1975?
Right.
Well, in 1976, Minister Louis Farrakhan was still looking for something that can fulfill, because he felt lost without his leader there no longer. In 1976, he meets Ulysses, and Ulysses tells him he needs to start studying something that will blow his mind, something that can change his life, something that he really needs to get familiar with, the Church of Scientology. Wow. That's how he got introduced to this back in 1976, and was eyeing this relationship for over 30 years before he decided to go full-fledged and join up with them.
Wow.
Okay? So it was 1976.
Do you think he actually went into their quote-unquote churches or organizations in between the time when he went public, or not?
Well, I was catching those whispers in 2007 and 2008 that it was him and Al Sharpton that were taking the lessons in the Blue Building.
Right.
They were there at the, was it Celebrity Center? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They were at the Celebrity Center taking lessons in secret, him and Al Sharpton at that time. So those were things that we were reporting about on our DVD. They're taking secret lessons that were taking place in Los Angeles, and
Right.
somebody is starting to finance members that are taking lessons of Scientology. I didn't know who that was at that time, right? That's why when that information started coming out, Leah Remini's producers had reached out to me and let me know that they would like to speak with me about something. I
Wow.
didn't know that that was Leah that was paying for them,
Uh-huh.
right? So they reached out to me, and that's how I ended up coming on the show. By their producers were members of my Facebook group,
Right.
and by them saying, we can identify this name, these people that you're trying to talk about, we know who that is. So I said, talk to me some more. Right. So that's how that got established. So these are more FBI memos and things that we go over on the PowerPoint. We do go over Dianetics and Will Smith's relationship, right? Some of the lies that they were talking about over the days. Correction, we're Muslims that use the tool of auditing. We are not Scientologists. Remember those days? This was back in 2015 and 2012 and 2010. They were denouncing that they were not Scientologists, right? So they were very
Yeah, I
vocal.
remember that because they had started that school,
Right.
that was a Scientology school, and then it quickly blew up that they were Scientologists, and then they went, no, we're not.
They pull their funding, exactly,
Right.
and the school ended up closing, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So this is back in those days when they used to try to always denounce. Of course, we have John Travolta, right? John Travolta is one of those people, as well as Christy Alley and all of them, were doing these things that were taking place. So we talk about that in the PowerPoint. We do also talk about the headquarters of Applied Scholastics, right, at Spanish Lake, Missouri. So they go to the same exact camp, and this is from the Scientology book, right? When you go to the Scientology book, they have the Spanish Lake, Missouri Applied Scholastic School, but then they go to the same exact location, put a new name on it, and then they call it Camp Kiswa, and then they bring in the Muslims at the same exact location.
Wow. And this
Right.
is where in Missouri?
This
I
is at
was wondering-
Spanish Lake. Yeah, this is at Spanish Lake, Missouri. So, and like I said, in St. Louis, you can put up
in St.
Spanish
Louis.
Lake. Yeah. So, like I said, this is from the Scientology book, and then this is from the Muslim side when they go and promote it when the Muslims come in, right? Same exact place, and the same exact person at the top, David, right? So, same person getting paid.
That's amazing. It's really amazing.
Right. We go over the Jim Jones history. Here we have Reverend Jim Jones and Minister Farrakhan right there next to him. Right.
Really?
Yeah, this is Minister Farrakhan right here. And this is Jim Jones right here. Right. And this is in Chicago. This is in the headquarters. Right. And this is the Nation of Islam members with Jim Jones and Angela Davis right here. Right over here. Right. So we also go over that part of the history too. We expound and go over. This is Minister Farrakhan, the same person who is your leader, who was joining up with Jim Jones and promoting Jim Jones in front of, our community. And
Right.
over 70% of the people who died at Jonestown were Black people. Specifically, more importantly, they were Black women, right? Black
Wow.
women and children that were being
And children.
yeah, they're unalived at that time, right? So they
Yeah.
put their faith in Jim Jones, and he promoted Jim Jones and was never held properly accountable for that. This right here was in Haiti, I believe it was, after one of the catastrophes. They were making these children go through the Scientology process just for them to get water and food, right? So they find people when you're in need, and they force you to go through this process to make them dependent on them, right?
Right. Wow, this is such a history.
Right. We go over Jim Mathers, right?
And we get them familiar with who Jim Mathers is. And in this Jim Mathers photo, here it says, again, this is from the Scientology book, I had friends ask me to make it stop raining in Rome because of flooding, stop raining in Clearwater so people could work outside, and make it rain in California due to severe drought condition. Within hours, it stopped raining in Rome, in Clearwater, and started raining in California. So Jim Mathers is saying that he controls the elements. He has the superpower to control the elements, and he's the person you go to. And they put Jim up at the Ebony Awakenings, talking to all the black leaders, just like no different than Jim Jones, right? He's the same person. And then here he is teaching the Nation of Islam in their temple. I'm going to give you these superpowers, right? Jim Mathers is a fraud. He's a fraud. They put these fraudulent people up in front of you, and they're nothing but pseudo punks.
Wow.
No different than what I'll tell him to his face. So these are the people that they prop up in front of you, right? And this was the leader of the Nation of Islam at that time, along with Jim Jones. And Mr. Farrakhan was this man's national representative. This was the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he was besties with Jim Jones, right? So he supplied security for Jim Jones. This was in San Francisco. They would have, rallies in Chicago, right? So we know how that ended up playing out with Jim Jones. But this is a long relationship. Of course, am I okay with time? Are we good? Just want to make sure I'm respecting the time.
Absolutely. You're
okay.
fat. You could talk for all night long and we'll probably be here.
I just want to make sure.
No. You have as much time as you want. This is amazing. I mean, for me, it's so educational.
Wonderful.
And I think for most of our guests, that is too. They've asked some questions, but I'll ask you them later when.
Absolutely. No questions are off limits for sure. In 1992, the FBI released 40,000 documents about Jim Jones and People's Temple to the Church of Scientology. 40,000 documents. That's in 1992, right?
Have you ever thought about doing a TV show where it seems like you have so much knowledge and you could educate so many people so fast?
I've thought about it before as far as I have a book already done, right? I'm waiting for the proper time to release it, but I have a book that chronologizes, the whole chronological history of this relationship, bringing forth a lot of information. I have interviews. I have a lot of information that's really going to be, impactful and save a lot of people. So, and things like, like a program and things. I've thought about those kind of things. I have a lot on my plate. I do a lot of different things, in the private sector. So yeah, I have thought about it before, and I have some great allies who have really been very helpful as far as disseminating information along with me. So I'm very fortunate to have very good friends, and I put you in that circle too.
Thank you. I was just thinking we should do a YouTube site, just do a YouTube site on this, just for the Black community. You know what I mean? And I can give the Scientology side of it. We can bring all kinds of other people in.
It's needed. It's needed because there's two different languages that are being spoken, right? There's going to be some blind spots that I'm not going to know, right? And vice versa. So one hand kind of washes the other, which is why I was very fortunate for Leah to invite me on her program, because it allowed me to reach a broader audience. And that's why that particular episode was so popular, because it reached a broad, amount of people.
Right.
Now this goes over the auditing and the pricing of auditing. And you talk to me, you let me know, is this kind of accurate as far as the prices that you're able to see? Purification rundown, 1,300. Like, are they really talking about those kind of numbers of what they charge for those kinds of things? Because this is information that gets shared with me and information given to me that I do bring to the public. Does that seem kind of accurate as far as how they charge?
Well, read a couple of them to me, because I can't really see them.
Yeah, it has like the introduction courses are like $250, right? Life improvement courses, $240. So that's $490 there. Purification program, $3,800. Maybe like a survival rundown, $2,500.
Oh wait, the purification is $3,000.
Purification program 3,800.
Might be. I'm not good at this. I've been out of it for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my guess is it's more than that.
More than that. Jeez. Like the OT levels. Now, mind you, they do price different Nation of Islam members than they do other Scientologists.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I heard some Scientologists saying, "Yo, what? Like, why are they getting a discount? Like, I had to pay X, Y, and Z."
Right,
You
right.
know? So I know that they do charge them different. And
Yeah.
what does it mean when they have the stuffed animals like that, or when they have the clay? What does that mean? Explain. that to
Okay,
me.
Hubbard had a thing, and a lot of people hate it. I happen to really like it because I'm a person who does well better when I read, when I see things visually.
Yeah.
And so I like the clay demoing. And what Hubbard was saying is, like, let's say you're a young person and you're reading about ships, but you've never seen a ship.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a confusing issue for you because you hear the word, but you don't really know what is it.
Right.
So your mother would show you a picture of the ship or a few different ships. And then in the clay demo thing, you would have to actually demonstrate, how does this work? You know, people, you make a ship, you've got to have some water, you've got to get out into the water, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's just a way of putting something into the physical universe that you can think about and get it.
Okay. And then what is the stuffed animal part of it? Like we see here, they have the stuffed animals in their lap and things like that. What's the
That's I believe you're talking about the TRs, the training routines, which is very early on.
Okay.
And I can't even remember it really, but I think you hold a stuffed, like, let's say I hold a stuffed animal and you have to deliver for TR, I think it's TR1, where you have to deliver the communication.
Okay.
You would hold a stuffed animal and you deliver it to the animal.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of stupid, really, when you think about it. I mean, I helped train John Travolta.
Oh, it's hella stupid, that's for sure. But I was wondering what the symbolism.
Yeah, it's really stupid. Like, I had to train him where it would be like, give me that hand, and he would, and I'd say thank you, and I'd say, now walk over to that wall, and when we'd walk over to the wall and then touch the wall, turn around, thank you, walk back. It was very
Right.
It was all supposed to be intention, like you're drilling intention.
Okay.
Which is all part of building you up as an OT.
It's a conditioning, right.
Something to happen instead of having to actually do it.
Got it. Thank you so much for clarifying. See, that's the importance of conversations like this. Exactly. Now, of course, we have Alfredi, right? Johnson.
Right.
And we do go over the fact that as you get higher in Scientology church, you're expected to consistently take courses, beginner courses, start around, $650, escalating into the thousands as you get higher to reach the OT levels. Not only that, but you're currently shelling out big dough for audits, $800 per hour, and Dianetic books, packages on average. Some can be $4,000 along the way. Scientology consistently updates course material. And if you notice, there's sometimes where they double dip, right? They'll sit there and say there was a missing something and then recharge you, right?
They did that to us on OT7. Yeah.
Now, the Nation of Islam does the same thing. There's like they have certain lesson books, right? They have what's called a Supreme Wisdom. They actually, you pay for one book and then they sat there and said, there were a couple words missing on this. Then they charge you to have to go get a whole other book again. I was like, oh, that was a page out of Scientology for real.
Wow.
Yeah, they do.
Unreal. Yeah.
Right. Of course, now this is again Alfredi Johnson. This is L. Ron Hubbard in Africa at the time, and the staff. And he was.
I met Alfredi Johnson at Celebrity Center.
Okay.
I was there in Scientology when he came, and I said, "This is what we need. It really is." I mean, he was so moving,
right?
And we're all going, amen, you know, and it was just so funny. I thought, this is so ironic. Because
Right.
it's like, it's not really Scientology, but it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they're getting into something else and they're not telling us. And that's exactly it.
And people walk in with good intent, right? They know you have a good intent of wanting to spread the word, right? You want to make sure that people are able to get the message, and somebody's coming in saying, yeah, you know, I want to support that. Your intents are good. You don't know that there's something nefarious, you know,
Right.
on our dark side
that's
to
the
it.
thing. It's very tricky. And when you find out, it's shocking.
Right.
Because it's like, really?
Exactly.
You know, is it the same with the Nation of Islam?
It's the same exact way. It's the same exact way. You go in with a pure intent. You want to go, and you want to be able to be self-sufficient. You want to work good. You're not drinking. You're not smoking. You're not fornicating. You're coming in with a pure intent to go and reach the people. You never think that on the backside somebody would take your pure intent and have some kind of an evil thing. We talk about and bring forth information like the Jack Parsons part that we have here on the screen. Nobody would believe you when you sat there and said that L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons were besties, right? Until you start to bring forth that information, and then you start to see. Sit down and talk with Jamie DeWolf, or write him and let him explain to you some of the dark sides of what's going on with that of it, because he went into deep detail of our conversation. He has a lot of vast information of the dark side of what was going on up in some of his grandfather's writings and things and information that he came across, right? So listen to what some of the sources are telling you and study that for yourself. I changed my tone also of how I reach people. I was coming across in the early days as very fierce, combative, which in my mind it became counterproductive, because the people I really want to reach, I need to make sure I can reason with you. And if I feel as if I'm talking down to you, or if I'm coming too hard at you, I'm going to make you just kind of, go into a shell, as opposed to you being receptive to wanting to know the actual truth, right? So as you mature and you grow, now there's a time where you do have to be fierce, and there's a time for combat, but there's other times where you can just kind of share the information and let people process it for themselves and respect them where they are.
Right.
It's very important.
Very.
Some of the claims by L. Ron Hubbard, right? Not smoking enough causes cancer. Right? This was his claim, that if you stop, smoking was great for you, et cetera, only because he couldn't stop, put down the cool cigarettes. He wanted to let you know that if you not enough smoking causes cancer, right? So we go over those kind of questions and claims that he makes, right? Is that an accurate thing? People use his words as the gospel. Is that accurate what he said? He's on record saying it multiple times. Well, we go over, Scientology teaches that cancer comes about when certain body cells conclude that they need to reproduce on their own, because they can no longer depend on the sexual reproduction of their host body. For more details, refer to this Scientology document. We show you the actual document, right, that's making this claim. And then we go over what the facts are. Here is the American Cancer Society letting you know that smoking tobacco affects your cancer risk. It is very, very, damaging to your body to be intaking, smoking. Now, if a person smokes, we're not judging you. We're just letting you know that he's telling you, some straight up bullshit, right? So we just go over those situations like that to let people process it on their own, right? Yeah. So that I'm a firm believer of that.
It's very tricky. I used to, march around and protest and everything. And now my friend and I just put little chairs out in front of their big Scientology sign. And we just sit there for an hour and I talk to the neighbors who walk by. Right. And if they're young, I say, don't get into this. And most of them 20 years ago would be like, well, they have a right to their own belief. Mm-hmm. But now almost every person goes, no way, no way. Right. But the last couple of months, 4 people have come back to me and said, I really want to thank you because we talked to you for a while and we were going to join the Sea Org. Mm-hmm. That's a billion-year contract. It's very hard to get out of.
Right.
So, there's a lot to be said about just being gentle and kind and, communicating.
I can't tell you since 2009 how many people have inboxed me thanking me for saving them and their families, right? Because there's a lot of, men, maybe they might be the heads of their family, and they just let you
Sure.
know that I was going to bring my whole family into this. And
Yes.
thank you for not beating me up or making
Yeah.
me feel judgmental. You allowed me the space for me to draw my own conclusion. Because
Right.
once that person is able to draw their own conclusion, you can't convince them otherwise, because now they've seen the truth for themselves. They're not
Right.
taking my word for it. And they just, over the years, it's been countless amount of people. And I just let them know that all praise is due to the creator, right? If I'm a vessel and a message that was able to resonate with you, for you to save your family, those are blessings that I do accept, right?
I
So,
agree.
yeah.
I agree. And I've had the same, and it's a very joyous feeling.
Absolutely.
To know that you really, that's what got me to speak out. I wasn't going to speak out. And then I thought, if I can save one person from not getting suckered into this, it's
Right.
worth all this stuff they're going to throw at me.
Absolutely. It's so much worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is the Leah Remini. One thing was really important when she was speaking with me. She invited me to come on her show, and I told her respectfully, I can't come on your show unless you can kind of like put some skin in the game. I'm gonna need you to have to come forward. I understand you telling me that you help finance them, and I thank you for that. I really, really do. But I need you to come forward because my reputation is on the line.
Yeah.
Right. So for me to come on your show, and I already know how the weight's going to come down on me, I need you to step up.
Right.
And she said, at this time, it wasn't called X, it was called Twitter. She said, check Twitter. And this is what she posed. Whoa, congrats, Tony Muhammad. Wondering when you might be paying me back the money you borrowed from me as a personal loan when we first met at Celebrity Center in 2010, as well as the Scientology courses. Never heard back from you. #curious. I said, yeah, I can come on your show. But she showed me she was real, right? Yeah. So she did that in real time. Told me to check the Twitter. So salute to her. And also salute to our sister Toponi Gray. Beautiful spirit, beautiful sister. She joined us on the program. She had passed away before the program got a chance to air. But as a woman, she stood up and she lent her voice, right? So I know she would publicly thank me over and over again. And this is one of her posts. Thank you, Leah, Mike, and last but not least, Ishmael, for giving us the voice to speak. My voice to speak was a whisper and compared to the courage that she took. She worked there, at that community center in Inglewood. She paid a great price and she stood up for what she knew was right. So shout out to Pony Gray, as well as Hector Muhammad too. All right, brother Hector was on the program with me, and he does a wonderful job standing strong. So yeah, shout out to Pony Gray.
Good.
And this was the center, right? The L. Ron Hubbard Community Auditorium. This is where they meet full time now that we were talking about. This is their full time, quote unquote, West Coast mosque in Los Angeles.
And they go every week or
every Sunday. This is where they have their meetings at. This is their mosque. This is when they give you a card saying come out to the Nation of Islam. That's the address that they give you on the card for you to show up to the meetings. And they meet at the L. Ron Hubbard Auditorium. Yeah.
And the Nation of Islam people don't kind of question this?
By the time they come, they don't know that it's a Scientology church until they're probably in the doors. And by then it's, like, brother, come on in. They whisk you right on in there. And of course, it's a beautiful building. It's a beautiful edifice. So, of course, they're frauds. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're love bombing you, right? Isn't that what it's called, right? That's what they're doing, right? They're bombarding you with the propaganda, right? This high-tech building, beautiful, they're whisking you right in. You won't even be looking at all the symbolisms of the Scientology stuff taking place,
Well, you're familiar with LA, right?
Yes.
And Inglewood is about 45 minutes from Hollywood, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say that, yeah.
Okay, so we went out there that one time that I told you about.
Yep.
And then afterwards, I said, I think they have an ideal org here now. Let's go there. And so we went over there, and the lady inside invited Lynn to come in. And so Lynn goes in, and within 5 minutes, all the security from Hollywood were out there.
Wow.
They probably had heard we were out there and already sent them out there.
Yep.
They were already like, get out of here, get out, get away from
Well,
them.
y'all are live on the air. I think y'all are live on the air. I know it's videotaped. I do remember it was videotaped because I remember when the psychologists and stuff was kind of like a little confrontation took place.
Yeah.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Field staff. What is? Can you explain to the public maybe like kind of what field staff does or what it means when to be
Like
staff?
an FSM?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, an FSM, a field staff member, is originally their intention was to get new people in.
Okay.
So let's say you're not in it, and I say, Ish, you really should come into this. It's really cool. You'll really like it.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, okay, I'll go with you. And now it's my job to make sure you sign up for a course,
Right.
and start the course.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, they don't get any commission until the person is actually in the building, buys the course, and starts the course.
Got it.
So they kind of, instead of just having a registrar there, which is like a salesperson, which is a bit offensive to a lot of people, this is much warmer. It's like somebody that you meet and they're like, hey, I really like you. Why don't, I'm in this thing. Why don't you come over and, they're having a free brunch tomorrow or something like that. They always have stuff to get people in.
Right.
Then you don't know they're getting a commission from it. Now, originally, that was the original plan. And people got a lot of, because remember in the old days, and I don't even know if you know this, but they used to have missions. Did you know that?
I remember the mission. I remember hearing about that.
And Miscavige got rid of most of them.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he got rid of most of the missions, which was really stupid because they were the ones who would get new people in.
Right.
Right. And people didn't mind. Like my mother-in-law and father-in-law got in 1950. And I said, and what would you do? And she said, we'd just we'd meet friends and we'd say, why don't you come over for coffee and cookies? And we'll tell you a little bit about Dianetics.
Right.
So that was their thing. And then once somebody gets used to it, then you could bring them over to the organization.
Right. Right.
But anyway, Miscavige got rid of all of that. And the FSMs, Scientology is like a triangle as far as money, as far as everything. But,
now, is this commission a one-time thing or is it something that's reoccurring as far as
it's reoccurring if you keep the person on the bridge?
Got it.
If they drop off or they're not doing it, or they might switch FSMs and then the other person gets the commission. But as it goes up, it's way more money. So from OT3 on up, it's thousands of dollars. And you're getting 10% of it. So I started talking to the executives saying, look, this is ridiculous. We don't have any new people coming into Scientology because all the FSMs are working on the top of the bridge. Because they're making more money that way.
Right.
But you know what? Nobody cared. You were like, okay, whatever. And I was like, okay.
So that's what the field staff is. And again, this is what we're pointing out, and this is listed in 2010. Scientology staff, people were taking pictures and sending them over to me. Listen, no, they got some staff that are in this Nation of Islam meeting. This is Scientology staff right here. So we started pointing that information out, putting it into our forum, and like I said, just bringing the awareness to the people.
Field staff member are two different things.
Got it. Okay, so staff and field staff. Okay.
And staff and Sea Org are two different. So they're like. Field staff members are just public that are getting new people in. Right. Staff have signed a contract and they used to have 5-year contracts, 3-year contracts or 5-year contracts.
Okay.
And they would work, either because they were not Sea Org, so they weren't getting fed and slept by Scientology.
Right.
They had to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd either be there in the day and then work nights and weekends, or vice versa.
Okay.
And then Sea Org is the billion-year contract where you're there 24/7.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you hear me? It sounds like I'm echoing.
I can hear you.
Okay.
It's not echoing for me. I hear you fine.
And I hear you fine.
Okay.
But when I talk, it's echoey.
Okay.
Now, what is this?
This is a Church of Scientology staff members. This one is this is an example. This is from the Church of Scientology. It says Church of Scientology has a new staff member, Pierre Muhammad, right? Joining staff has been a good opportunity for me to learn about the organizational technology and how to properly apply it. I'm expecting to learn more and use more of what I learned later to help my people become successful, as well as help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Master Farad Muhammad. This is from Pierre Muhammad.
That's amazing.
He's telling you to join staff. But see, this was back in the days when they were saying that they weren't joining staff, that they were only dealing with Dianetics.
Right.
But we were proving to the people, no, they're actually joining the staff. And we were bringing examples of these staff members that were Nation of Islam Muslims, right? So
wow.
Yeah. So
look at the picture on the right.
Yes.
See, that's what I was in for 30 years. It's all white faces. And I used to sell jewelry around LA. And a lot of my customers were African Americans and super nice. They had tons of money. And so I started talking to Scientology saying, why don't you, have some entrance into the Black community so that these guys, and they're like, no, no. And they had their own, whatever things about it. But I just figured I got to meet the community. And I was like, I love these people. They're so cool.
So you saw the opportunity of what could have been, right?
Right.
With the good intent. And then, like I said,
because the people, again, like most of I used to say to people, this is a true story. Other people who were selling things, because we would go office to office, that kind of thing.
Right.
And they would say, well, I'm going to go to Burbank or Glendale. And I'd say, don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Because white people are mean and they'll kick you out. And they are. But I used to sell in the City Hall, and most of City Hall, all the way up to the mayor, are a lot of African Americans.
Yes.
And they're wonderful, and that's one thing I realized with Black people is they will at least have the kindness to say, yeah, come on and show me what you have.
Understood. Right.
And I think that's from years and years and probably hundreds of years of people being creepy.
Sure.
To you.
Yeah.
To your culture. So okay, I'm not going to be creepy like that. But whereas white people are still really creepy like that.
Understood. Yeah.
You're
going to get a different vibe. Yeah. We're talking about,
it's a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I ended up becoming really good friends with them and liking them. And, it was just a trippy thing, but it was funny. Scientology really missed the boat on it. Same as with the gay community. They missed the boat with them, and they tried to say Celebrity Center is open to all gays. And I called a few of my friends who are gay and told them, and they said, we'll spread the word. And bam, that was it. Nobody went in there.
Understood.
Did you ever meet Michael Pattinson?
I've seen some of it on the videos before in the past. I have seen some of those, as well as it was one who used to be on the corner a lot, outside a lot too.
He was on the corner of what?
He used to be like outside of a lot of the Scientology things and be asking about like challenging Scientologists and stuff. But I forgot his name. But I've seen some of their videos before. This screenshot here was taken today, October 13th, 2025. Wow. This was the Black Scientologist page on Facebook. Anybody can go on Facebook right now, go into the search bar, put in Black Scientologist,
and you will see this same exact picture.
Unreal.
So they can no longer sit there and come before you and say that they're not Scientologists, because when you type in Black Scientologists in 2025 in real time, this is what comes up.
Wow.
Right?
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, so this is from their page right there on the front.
They don't have that many white people as public, I don't think.
Understood. Yeah, I mean they have photos of them on the cruise ships and stuff. They go on the cruises. They take the on the free winds, I think it is. They take those trips and stuff like that. So this is a quote on here. All praise is due to Allah. The Black Scientologist Convention was off the chain. It was the most beautiful marriage of the brothers and sisters in the Church of Scientology and the mighty FOI MGT believers of the Nation of Islam. We came together to mop up the wilderness of North America and the world. So these are the Black Scientologist Convention, right?
Unbelievable.
Now, like I said, back in the days, they would sit there and fight you tooth and nail that they weren't Black Scientologists. Now they wear it proudly with a badge, and L. Ron Hubbard on the right, and yeah. So this is what they do now, right?
Now I'm typing this in my cell phone. I want to look at it. So it's called Black
Scientologist.
Scientology. Wow.
Yeah, Black Scientologist. That's all you have to
All right,
put in.
let's see. Oh my God. Now this comes up with some videos, but we're in YouTube.
Yeah. This is on Facebook. You just type it into your Facebook page. You put in Black Scientologist in a search bar, and that image will come up. It's Black Scientologist on Facebook.
Unbelievable. I had no idea that. And these are actually Black Scientologists.
Yeah, self-proclaimed. Yeah.
It's so hard for me to. Okay, yours comes up first. Scientology invasion of the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
And then Black Scientology comes up second.
Well, yeah, you put in Black Scientologist. Yeah.
I did.
And that's the name of their page, Black Scientologist.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here it is. It's the exact same one you have.
Absolutely. I took it today. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I join it?
Well, you ain't Black and you ain't a Scientologist. I don't know if you're going to make it past the threshold.
Oh, you have to be Black? My God.
I don't know. I don't have no interest in joining that at all. But on the next part of the page, they do, as you know, on the handbook of Scientologists, they have the handbook here. And they have the Scientologists as the highest level. And, of course, we have to be accurate, right?
Now, wait. You have to hold that up closer. Isn't that what is Scientology?
The Scientologist handbook?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like gives you all the foundation of what the Scientology is. Yeah.
I'm in that.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. Yes, I would not be surprised. I got my Dianetics books, and I got my handbooks, and I got my, you got to be well informed, right? How are you going to deal with these things? I got L. Ron Hubbard, the Book of Man, and I got all the books, right? So Scientologists are above Jesus and Muhammad and Confucius and Buddha, right? The top of the hill is the Scientologists, is what they tell me.
You got to come out here. You do.
I know, right?
We'd have so much fun with Will. We
got to do that. I know. And of course, we go over this is just going over the cross, right? The Aleister Crowley cross, and then the Scientology cross, and this is the cross.
Same thing, isn't it?
Right, and of course the cross is on the podium, and again, this is Minister Farrakhan, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Master Farah Muhammad. This is at their mosque, quote unquote, as they are teaching, right, from the church.
Wow.
Right. So we just put in there the same exact teachings, the same exact man paid at the top. Lie to yourself all you want, you're a goddamn Scientologist. They just try to put a different spin on it, but they're doing the same exact thing, and it's the same exact man being paid at the top. And even though it's Minister Farrakhan, the person behind the mask
is David Miscavige.
There you go. Follow the money. Follow the money.
Exactly.
Right. And this is my teachers here that I was giving a shout out to. So that was the PowerPoint that I kind of just share, with the people as we go over this. So thank you for allowing me to present this PowerPoint. I did also want to share something that's very important to me too, was on this journey here. We meet very good allies along the way. So I want to give a shout out to Jesse Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Ishmael Bay and Jesse Prince, as we get a chance to meet, and go to different places. So again, shout out to somebody who's been very instrumental in sharing important information with me. And not only Jesse Prince, but shout out to ToryMagoo. Shout out to Magoo. Always good spirit, always a good ally, somebody that you can count on to have good information and a good heart. So I definitely wanted to end the presentation with that also.
Thank you so much, Ish. I really,
Of course.
that is a cute picture too.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
You are good at this. I'm telling you, we should do a YouTube site about it, educating the Black community.
Yeah, that would definitely
and the
be
history.
Awesome, for sure.
Yeah. Look at you.
I gotta figure out how to stop the share. I don't know how to stop the share, but
What happened?
I'm just trying to stop the share.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, now let me go up and ask you some questions that are highlighted.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for showing us that, though. Talk about a history lesson. Wow.
Thank you for
I'm telling you, you do have to really think about doing a YouTube set. I'll help you if you want, but I mean, you obviously know way more than I do on creating it, but I can fill in on Scientology. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very important. Fun. Exactly. I agree.
Okay, question. Has Farrakhan ever cooperated with Black Hebrew Israelites or Dr. Umar Johnson, the Prince of Pan-Africanism?
Not specifically. Dr. Umar, of course, being a Pan-Africanist, respects the Nation of Islam overall, but nothing directly with Dr. Umar and Mr. Farrakhan per se. I don't think they have anything so much as any kind of a differences at all. But no, there's been like no direct connection between them. And as for the Hebrew Israelite type of thing, Hebrew Israelites, they're not too warm and fuzzy as far as with Islam as a religion. They're pretty firm on what they believe in. However, my teacher, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, had a very great relationship with the Hebrew Israelites. Whether you are Crip or Blood or Hebrew Israelite or whatever, he had a good relationship with them. But no, there's no.
I gotcha. All right, now here's one from Moose on the Loose, which I love that nickname. Question: what is a good question to ask an African American working for Scientology or a public? I've seen a few recently in the New York organization.
A good one would be if you go back to this video screen and you take a snippet of that one shot of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad denouncing Scientology. Use that quote or show them that picture and ask them to explain it. How can you in good faith denounce the founder of the Nation of Islam or the leader of the Nation of Islam? Because that's one thing that you're never allowed to do. If you denounce Master Farad Muhammad or you denounce the messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that's deemed as unforgivable. Unforgivable. So how can you in good faith see what this man said about Scientology and then say that you would support it?
Yeah.
And just see what they say.
Good.
Allow them to process it.
Are you still part of the Nation of Islam?
I still practice Islam, not under the Nation of Islam because I don't trust their leadership, right?
Right.
So there's no intermediary between me and the Creator, right? Me and Allah have a very good relationship, and I've been blessed in abundance, more than I can ever imagine. And for me to be, I'll be 60 years old next year. For me, I feel great. I live a great life. So I've been blessed.
Right.
Good
So
for you.
I think I'm doing something right. Right.
You're doing something right.
Yeah, I've been married for 36 plus years, so I have no complaints about anything that's going on. All's
That's
good
so
this way.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Good for you.
Hmm.
All right. Now, Professor Kakan says Jerry Armstrong relates that in OT8, Hubbard basically exposes the real theology of Scientology as white Luciferianism. Okay. Do you know who Jerry is?
Jerry Armstrong relates. No, I don't know who Jerry Armstrong is.
We would not be having this conversation if it wasn't for Jerry Armstrong. Just so
Okay.
you know, he worked for L. Ron Hubbard.
Mhm.
L. Ron Hubbard said, "I want you to write a book about me." He started writing it, and then Hubbard said, "I've got a lot more stuff downstairs." They were on the ship, I think, and he said, "We've got a lot more stuff in boxes. Go get them." So Jerry's very litigious, and he started going through all the boxes, and he
Right.
realized, like, if they said L. Ron Hubbard was right-handed, the fact was that he was left-handed. Now, I'm not
Got it.
saying that's true, but I'm just giving you an example.
Yes.
So he went up to Hubbard and he said, "Look, man, if I use this information, if I write this book the way you want it, there's facts out there that are going to show you're lying."
Mm-hmm.
And Hubbard got really mad at him. So Jerry packed up and left. And
Right.
they sued him, and he sued them, and and he anyway, it was a big fight. And they're still after him. They're still kind of after him. He's up in Canada. But
Okay.
he was the beginning of all of this because he kind of put it out to the world before
Got it.
the internet, way before the internet. But
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
he's an important person to know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that comment or in that question in there, they're saying that at OT8 that they were comparing it to Luciferism. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't have any comment to make on that either because I didn't do OTA.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
There you go.
Gotcha.
All right, here's JB808 again. Question. Sorry, I think I missed the discussion, but isn't there a huge discrepancy in Nation of Islam's belief system that would conflict with Scientology once you go clear and denounce God? What happens there? It's hard for us to imagine that. I mean, I call it the Scientology Truman Show, right? You saw that movie?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's like when you're in the show, you're just in the show. That's it. That's all you see. You don't see the walls. That's the way it is.
Right.
But it's a good question. It's like, it does seem like, especially for the Nation of Islam people, that they would be going, I don't know, I don't get it.
I think ultimately Scientology is going to bring out in you whoever you really are. So in other words, if you're like just a grimy individual, it's going to tap into something where you're going to be quite comfortable living a lie, and you're going to be comfortable lying to people. Now, if it's not in your character to be that way, you're going to be in turmoil, which is in Islam is called jihad. That means a war within. You're going to be in a war with yourself. How do I process the fact that people are telling me that God doesn't exist? Or this person's telling me that Xenu is this ultimate almighty being. This is something that goes against my whole being as an individual. I can't be involved in that. That's if your character is telling you that. But if your character is that of wanting to manipulate someone deep within the recesses of your mind, you're going to be comfortable and start to rationalize and justify the things that you're coming into information with. And that's why there's an influx of people that come in and out of the Nation of Islam because of that. Right. Some people have to come to that realization, like, this is a lie. What your brother said on that show was right.
Right.
Those are the emails that I get, right? Those are the emails I get. Yeah.
I had a lady, this is to the kids that protest. We were out with Anonymous. Remember when Anonymous came?
Oh yeah, very helpful to me.
And we took up all of L. Ron Hubbard Way. There were that many people. And they were big on partying and having cake and having fun and music and all this stuff. and protesting. But anyway, they're doing all that. And that night I came home and this lady called me and started crying. And I said, "What's up?" And she said, "I have been trying to get my daughter out of that cult for many, many years." And she's always like, I don't want to talk about it. No. And tonight she called me and she said, "Mom, they're having so much fun out there. And I realized I could be with them having fun. Come get me. I'm done. That's it."
Wow.
Isn't
That's
that
huge.
great?
Yeah.
I know. It really
Yeah.
is. So that's why, I always thank people like you who are speaking out, saying stuff, because you just never know who
Right.
could be in Scientology or the Nation of Islam listening to this
Correct.
and go, "Oh my God, they're right."
Right. And like I said, it's a broad base of people that are going to resonate with the message you could never even think of.
Right. Right. Yeah. And another lady, I was at a gift show and she tapped me on the shoulder and I said, "What's up?" And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you." I said, No, it's okay. What's up?" She said, "I'm part of your YouTube site." And I said, "Really? What got you to be part of it?" And she said, "Well, 2 of my sons were Jehovah's Witnesses, and nothing I could do or say would get them out. And then they started watching your corny videos where I'm goofing around with the bears and stuff like that."
Yeah.
And she said it just made it so safe for them to look. Then they started looking. At first they were laughing about it, and then they said, "This is sort of like Jehovah's Witnesses." And then they started looking, and now they're out and free. And that's so great.
When you had identified, what is it that, from the ground level, when you started making the correlation of disconnect, what is it that was kind of said, or what is it that you picked up on where you identified this is what that is? Was it something that was said, or was it something that was what was done in the video to where you kind of made that correlation of, wait a minute, I know what that is?
No, I wasn't watching any videos. I was too afraid to do that. And I wasn't talking to any SPs, but I was doing pretty creepy stuff with my auditor, who's like your counselor, right?
Yeah.
And he was saying, we need to handle these evil people on the internet. So, I was out opening these phony accounts for them, but I grew up in Chicago and I grew up around the mafia.
Right.
And so I kind of know their routine. And these guys in the Sea Org were starting to act like the mafia.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, Tory, you don't even know, because he said, "I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing because they'll put you in deposition. This way you can just say, I really don't know. I never looked at it."
Right.
But now they start acting mafia-like, saying I can't call him Bill, I have to call him Joe, and I'm Kate, and all this bullshit stuff, right?
Right.
And I thought, I got to go look and see. And this was way back in the 90s. Back then it was a news group. And their goal was to drive any hot topic down and onto the second page.
Right.
So they would spam it with all kinds of stuff. And the day that I looked, I finally thought, I've got to go look. And I looked, and it was all baking recipes.
Oh, wow.
Cake, cupcakes, German chocolate cake. And in between it were people, real critics or ex-Scientologists, saying, I didn't say that. The Church of Scientology is changing my word. And I've always been a free speech advocate. And all of a sudden I realized this didn't just go to Yachty. This didn't just go to Gavino, who was in the Sea Org. Yeah. I knew at this point it probably came from Miscavige.
Oh, God.
And I got scared. And I thought, I just called up Bill and I said, I really can't do it anymore. I have to go back to work. And he said, okay, just meet us at this apartment. And I went over to the apartment. And anyway, long story short, they just pounded me for 2 hours, spiritually, just making me wrong. And what are you going to say? And who are you going to say it to? And I was like, nothing. I had no plans at all of saying anything.
Right.
But by the end, I just burst out crying. I ran outside. Yachty came running after me, who was my auditor, and said, Tory. I said, get away from me. Get away from me. And that was really the night I left. It was 1997. Wow. It took until 2000 for me to fully, because my friends and my husband and everything else, I'd already got my son out. I got my son out before I got out. Because I just thought, I can't handle it.
Wow.
I don't want to leave him in there with this shit.
Yeah.
So I got him out. But my husband, I thought my husband would just come. I really did. He was never really a true believer. I was.
Yes.
He was born in it. So he was just sort of like, okay, whatever. I don't like Miscavige. I don't like the Sea Org. You know, his mom just kept paying for his bridge. So he's OT8, but not really. He was a big wreck. So I thought, I'll leave. I got to make sure they're not really OSA.
Right.
Paying for my ticket to leave. But if they're really real, then I'd go back and get Harold, and that'll be that. That's what I thought. I didn't know they would do this shitty stuff that they do.
Right.
So by the time I got back, it was too late. He was like, you left me. I said, I didn't leave you. I left the cult. And he was gone. He was gone. So does that explain it? Does that answer?
It does. Definitely. Yes.
So it was, you know, I call it the closet. You know, it's like, because all through being in a cult, certain things happen that don't add up. You know, it's like, especially with the Nation of Islam and Scientology, I'm sure there are things that they just don't fit.
Right.
But, you know, you kind of go, okay, I'll put it in a closet and think about it tomorrow. And they always, that's one of the things Scientology, like, you got to hurry up. You got to keep going. You know, like they're always pushing you. So you don't have time to go, wait a minute, this just doesn't fit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes, to process things. Exactly. Yes.
And of course, if you do say this doesn't fit, they send you right to ethics in Scientology.
Right.
And they go, you know what, Ish, you are in a lower condition and we're going to help you on it. But you're going to have to decide. I mean, there's only two routes on this. One is Scientology, Nation of Islam. Other one is you leaving.
Right.
So you're in doubt, and we're going to work you through doubt. And they basically working through doubt, you end up going, okay, I'm with the Nation of Islam, Scientology.
Yes. Now, how do you feel when somebody's out and then say they kind of have a position once they're out and then you see them go back in?
I have never seen anybody do that. Like Robert Von Young used to write for Freedom magazine. And he called me every night when I left, after I escaped out.
Yes.
And I said, you know, are you really worried about me or something? And he said, Tory, this is a lot like an abused woman.
Right.
Where, you know, shit happens and then they go back in.
Right.
And this was in 2000, but his experience was people did leave, like you're saying, and then go back in. Because they missed the group, you know, they missed their friends, they missed.
Or they might get bullied into it, you know. Some of them might get strong-armed and go back in or else. Right?
Either way, their
family to go away or whatever. Yeah.
But now I forgot what we were talking about. What was the question?
Well, you know, if somebody's out and they go back in, I was thinking like maybe did Marty go back in?
He did.
Yeah, so there's kind of situations that kind of work like that too, right?
Sometimes you're out, you kind of was money though. See, I think he didn't have much money, and I think they paid him a lot because he bought a $500,000 house, and we know he didn't have that.
Right, so understand.
I'm pretty sure they paid him off and said, along with the money, you have to turn on Tony Ortega, Karen De La Care, you know, if you
denounce people and things like that. Right.
So there's that. But for me, for Robert Von Young, I said, Robert, I want you to listen to this carefully. Because remember, I have epilepsy. I haven't had a seizure in 30 years, but it was a big part of my waking up because it was just like, literally, I'm not kidding. It's like trying to swim up Niagara Falls for 30 years.
Right.
And finally, one of these critics said, you know, you can just grab one of these rubber tubes and just slide down. And they declared me an honorary SP on the internet. And I was on there making these stupid posts. I wouldn't read anything, but I was hoping someone would find me. And Andreas did.
Yes.
But in the meantime, they declared me an honorary SP3.
What is that?
And I said, no. I can't accept that. And I shut the computer off. That was it. And then I started vacuuming and I thought, you know, honorary SP3, same as you. What is that?
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it.
Right.
And all of a sudden I realized it's a joke. You know, they're just joking on this stupid fucking thing that I had never really respected anyway.
Yes.
I have epilepsy. So immediately they said, you're PTS. Somebody's the SP in your family. Who is it? Your
Right.
SP.
What's the source? Right.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to disconnect from her. I won't do that. So I had to do good roads, fair weather. That's what it was, where you just talk about nothing.
Got it.
You don't ever talk about Scientology.
Mhm.
But I told Vaughn, I said, for someone like me who has gone through what I've gone through for as long as I've gone through it, just think of someone who got out of a concentration camp.
Right.
Would you ever say to them, we're really worried you might go back in there?
Understood.
That's honestly how I always and to this day feel about
Mm-hmm.
Scientology.
Yeah.
It's like, not me.
Right.
Maybe some other people, but not this girl.
Right. Thank you for sharing. That's
You're
awesome.
welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming on. Now, let me just see. There's a few more questions. Wait, before I
Sure.
don't want you to leave.
Okay.
And forgive me, guys, if I miss any of your questions, but I'm trying to look at the ones that the moderators have highlighted. Day after Jonestown atrocity, crew members at secret headquarters in La Quinta had to contact their relatives and say, we are fine, having a great time on a special assignment in Scientology.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And it was kind of creepy too when you kind of heard Jim Jones. He would give these announcements from Jonestown. And as he was giving his announcements, there were like recorded messages. He would be speaking about Scientology being oppressed by the government and how the government is, coming down on Scientology for what they were saying. Was it Lisa Pearson? What's her name?
Lisa McPherson.
McPherson, yeah. Right. Yeah, he was like siding with Scientology, as they were attacking her and things like that. And, it's just creepy hearing him talking about those certain things, him endorsing Minister Louis Farrakhan, to take over the Nation of Islam and stuff, just in those last days before what happened there. So it's very interesting.
Yeah,
all the information is on my
this was my theory on it, not knowing the backstory at all. I thought they're two cult leaders and they're both, I think, losing members.
Right.
I knew Scientology was. And I thought maybe they got together and went, you know what? If we hook up, we could build a big, and it'll be money for both of us.
Right. One hand washes the other was this plan that they had, right? Because Lewis is basically promising, hey, I can deliver black people. If there's a brand that you can trust, they trust me. And that's exactly what Tony Muhammad told the public, right? He told the public that we're a brand that black people trust. And on our backs, we can go and get the black people and deliver them this tech, is what he promised Scientology.
Right.
And he failed. He did not deliver black people into the clutches of Scientology, right? Because it was being exposed that it was nothing but a fraud. And Minister Farrakhan eventually put the order out that they were no longer allowed to talk about Scientology from the rostrum. They used to be able to talk about Scientology in this relationship from the rostrum in front of the people. Well, he gave the order for them to stop doing that because it was rousing up people and putting a spotlight on critics. Critics were the ones that are out here getting the Emmys. Critics were the people out here getting the ear of the people and getting the views. So he told them no longer speak about Scientology from the rostrum. So now they do it covertly instead of overtly.
Yeah.
Right? So now,
but again, there's the closet, right?
Yes.
Where when you start thinking about that, okay, I'll put it in the closet. Think about it tomorrow.
Right. So like I said, now they silently, fully endorse it. They're meeting in the buildings. They're black Scientologists online, but you don't hear them talking about it the way that they used to. So see,
I know
now
that's what's so weird is because I remember when they were just Dianeticists. Because I said, "Are you Scientologists?" No, we're Dianeticists.
only.
And I thought that's the key because
Yes.
Dianetics just has to do with your body.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do with the spirit. So it wouldn't be in conflict with the Nation of Islam. But once I heard he went clear, I was like, oh, wait a second here.
Right.
It's still very, I would really like to talk to him and go, what the heck? I mean, there's no clears, right? You know that.
Of course.
Right?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So the fact that he's buying into this and selling it to his community, it's like, come on, man.
Right. And it's good when you hear the stories of other people, I think we played the clips in the past of like OJ Simpson when he talked about when he was clear, and OJ would talk about, I had this clarity and I could see everything going on. And, it was like, okay, OJ. But then he sat there and said, it was nothing real. It was just the phase I was going through, basically, this Scientology thing.
I know. I tell you, one time Jesse Prince and I flew across the country to come back when I was coming back from Clearwater. And if you ever get a chance, tell him to tell you about the old OT levels.
Okay.
It's hysterical. I mean, we laughed all the way across the country. And I said, Jesse, you have missed your calling because you really should be a comedian. I mean, he's funny as can be.
I agree about that. Yeah.
Oh, my God. All right. Now, here's another one. JB808. Were either of you part of the 2008 protest against the World Literacy Crusade, the Scientology front group formed by Reverend Alfredi Johnson?
Oh, I was on the online protest against it. I remember when that was taking place. Yeah, that's when
the World Literacy Crusade. I'm trying to remember that.
Yeah, the Literacy Crusade was like the front group. Yeah, it was definitely a front group that was being promoted by Alfredi Johnson and his stepson Riza Islam, and them were out teaching, bringing in a lot of the Black youth in the Los Angeles area at that particular time. Again, in 2008, that's when we were bringing a lot of the awareness of what was going on in this relationship. We're letting them know Alfredi Johnson, bringing in Isaac Hayes and Alfredi Johnson, and we're kind of starting to bring in Black people. That's when we started kind of dealing with that part of it.
And that was anonymous in 2008 too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they really knocked the socks off of everything. I mean, the whole Leah Remini that 2-year thing would have never happened without Anonymous. That's my
agreed. No, I agree 100%. And they actually set up a line of defense in helping me. They saw a lot of heat that I was catching, and they started letting some things know. Like, look, we can start shutting some things down if you really want to. Like, if y'all don't really start backing up off of this, man.
I know they are something else.
Yeah, they were good allies to have. They were like,
really
big time, and supplying me with inside information, documentation and stuff. I mean, they were very, very helpful for sure.
You know how I met them?
How did you meet them?
There was a guy that was writing a book, The Other Side of Tom Cruise, and I knew it wasn't going to be good because he'd flown into some of our parties to meet executives here and stuff like that, and so when they posted that thing about Tom Cruise, you're either in or out.
Right.
And then Anonymous posted that video saying, this is anonymous, we're going to shut down your website and all this. And I made a post. I said, this is bullshit. This is just the Office of Special Affairs. They're trying to distract off of this book. And I was sitting in this exact chair with my computer there, and the phone rings and it's Anonymous. And they're going, this is anonymous. We want, and I'm like,
the boogeyman. This is real.
And they said, okay, open up, what did they have then? Skype. Yeah, they said, open up a Skype. And there were like 5 young kids on it. And I won't get into what they were going to do, but it wasn't a good plan. And I said, look, you guys are way out of your box. These guys will put you in prison. I'm not kidding. And they said, well, what can we do? And I said, let's do a peaceful protest. They can't arrest us if we're peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, okay, we'll meet you down at the complex. We'll see if we're going to do it. So we walked around the complex. They said, okay, we're going to have 500 people here on February 10th
Right.
in honor of Lisa McPherson. And I said, okay, thanks. Now, we'd been protesting with 10 people, maybe 15, right?
Right.
Sometimes other people would join us just because they were against Scientology. But, you know,
Right.
it was a small group. So 500 people.
Right.
You know Mark Bunker, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Bunker and I go and get on. I said, let's just take the subway there because it's right by the complex. And then we don't have to worry about parking. So I've got my little.
He lives in Florida. Was this in Florida? Or was this in?
No, this is in LA.
Okay. Okay.
I live in Burbank, California.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he lived in San Diego, I think, at the time. So he came up, and we go and get on the subway, and there's these 3 or 4 rows of anonymous, all with their masks on in black, and the rest of the subway is like this. Totally freaked out. And so I get on and I go, ladies and gentlemen, everything is okay. We are with them. And they and we are going to be protesting the Church of Scientology. And they all started clapping the whole subway. And I think this is anonymous. It's like 40 people. And I think, well, 30 more than we've had. That's
right.
So we get off the subway by the complex. We walk up, and there's 500 people. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Something.
And it was 9,000 around the world in every major city in the world.
Yeah, they had that network, man. They had it moving.
Yeah, they nailed it.
Yeah,
they nailed it. And a bunch of people came out. Mark Hadley, Jenna, you know, like people that had never said their names. Now they were coming out.
Yes.
Really
yes. Wow. Shout out to Anonymous. Yeah.
And the media, because the media were always filming me and 3 other people who had our names and numbers out there. Yeah. And they would film for an hour and show about 15 minutes altogether. 5 of it was me. 10 of it was Tom Cruise or another celebrity.
Understood. Right.
And once Anonymous did that picket that day, Nightline had them on that. It was like they wanted the executives on.
That broke the barrier. Yeah, that opened up the yeah.
Finally, our story got heard, which is really great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now here's Professor Kakan says the Commodore always had 2 messengers with him, one recording his every word, one holding an ashtray lighter and fresh pack of cool, unfiltered shorts. Wow.
I'm sure he kept her busy running around this.
You know, they have, do you know, have you ever seen Peeling the Onion? That's one of the YouTube sites.
I probably came across it before.
Yvonne Jentz started Celebrity Center, and her daughter is Janice Gillum. And she and another gentleman do the peeling of the onion. But she had all these photographs from years past. And she's really got great information. It's really cool.
Nice.
Thank you, Antics. All right. So they all are really happy that they caught you. This has been great. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
No, thank y'all for having me. Thank you for allowing me on the platform and the great energy as far as the people that are coming through. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
We appreciate you. You got to come back again. We got to do more of it.
For sure.
I'm telling you. Oh yeah, and it's Happy Thanksgiving for the Canadians. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, now comment. Please put more videos on YouTube and TikTok. Ishmael. Over time, it may gain more traction. Just ask Tori. She's a TikTok superstar. Did I tell you that? What happened on that?
So you shared a little bit of the TikTok, yeah.
I just made that one video for 1 minute, and it went viral the next day.
Wow.
There's now 14 million views on it.
Wow.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's still rolling. You know, I'm still making stuff on it. And people are like, we want to hear more about your story. So you could for sure go on TikTok and tell your side of it.
Right.
Meant to say more traction than a TV show. Okay. Yeah. It's true. JB808. Oh, happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Yeah. To Kelly. She's one of my moderators, and
Nice.
she's celebrating it. All right, good. I think let me just make sure. I think now Professor Khan also said, and he's sort of putting words in your mouth, and I don't think this is true, but let's clarify it.
Sure, of course.
He said, you won't let Tori identify as Black, at least in her heart, as Black. How rude. And then he's laughing. So he's kind of joking. But
yeah, you try to get interested you try to get entry on that Black Scientologist page.
No, I'm not. No, my thing is this.
So
And
you can join. I said they ain't gonna let you join. They got a pre-screening.
Who does?
Well, you got to answer questions, I'm sure, before you get into their private session.
Oh, to get in there. No.
Yeah, the Black
I've said
Scientologist
for
group.
years, I'm English, Irish, German, Scottish, and part Welsh, which is true, and spiritually part African, and now I say spiritually part Latino.
That's what's up.
Huh?
I said that's what's up. That's great.
I know, because I do feel like where that comes from, and I don't think this is really African, but I thought it was, and I always wanted to go to Africa, and my boyfriend in high school did, and lived in Kenya for all of the time I was in Scientology. He was in Kenya running it.
Yeah.
So we always wanted to go there, and I had this thing where if I got really, really mad, I would say this word, and it would just come out. And then I'd think, well, what was that word? And I couldn't remember it. And now I know it is. It's Shi Palama Shibi Shibi.
Okay.
That's what it is. I have no idea what it is or where it comes from.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
But it was sort of like, okay, I think you meant author Paulette Cooper and not Lisa McPherson, who was
Paulette Cooper. It was Paulette Cooper. Yeah.
Paulette Cooper wasn't killed.
No. It was somebody who was being bullied by Scientology.
Paulette Cooper was definitely bullied by Scientology. Remember, she wrote that little teeny.
It was
book,
Paulette Cooper. Yeah.
And then they broke in her house and got her fingerprints and all that other stuff.
Yeah, that's the one that Jim Jones was talking about. It was Paulette Cooper.
Yeah, thank you.
That's who he was talking about. That's who he's talking about. Yeah.
All right, so I can be spiritually Black.
Absolutely. You have the right to self-identify. And I do want to let you know the importance of why your video went so viral the way that it did. It was because somebody was taking time to specifically speak to us, right? From that side of something that we needed to hear at that specific time. And again, the message had to come from somebody who was sincere. And that's why it resonated so much. It came from somebody that's like, wow, she ain't lying. I mean, it lined up exactly what we were talking about, but it was like, no, this is exactly the message we needed to hear. And like I said, once you got the Crow information being put into that circulation, it was a no-brainer that it was going to be popular, you know.
But it's unfortunate that it's still, even with it going viral, you know, it ended up where they're still kind of connected. It's like, that part. I mean, I think you're the key person to educate people enough so they can go, oh yeah, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? That kind of, All right, now. Oh yeah, this is controversially, the church operates a museum called Psychiatry and Industry of Death, and has been reported to teach the psychiatrists where the architects of the Holocaust, not Hitler or Himmler. Scientology's nuts. That's the CC.
Yeah, I've heard about that before. Yeah.
They still have it up. We go by it every once in a while. Well, if you see Mr. Jesse Prince, tell him I sent my love. And tell him we had an interview. We should do him with the 3 of us. He is hysterical.
That would be awesome for sure.
I know. All right, I think. Oh wait, here's one more. Let me look at it. Here it is. Sweden, one of the few European countries where Scientology has achieved full legal recognition as a religious community, allowing the ministers to conduct legally valid marriages. Well, there you go.
I think Germany's pretty firm against it, right? Isn't Germany?
Germany's been against it for years.
Yeah, I was going to say Germany's pretty
Kabir-
firm against it.
Oh yeah, Ursula Caberta was on their German government for years.
Okay.
Yeah, and her job was to make sure anybody who joined a business, if they were Scientologists, they were fired.
Oh wow. Okay. Mm-hmm.
If they didn't say I'm a Scientologist. And if they said they were, they didn't hire them.
Good. And I do hope from the PowerPoint y'all are able to kind of get, a little more familiar. Like I said, the audience that I kind of share that with, they have to get familiar with the whole basics of it all, right? So I'm bringing them up to speed with what Scientology is, the correlations between it, the Minister Farrakhan relationship, how he got into it, and then bring them up into the modern time. So I do hope, I know a lot of that information was kind of rehashed to a lot of people more experienced in Scientology, but I hope even in that you were able to get some jewels and some nuggets. So
I definitely did.
Thank y'all for viewing it.
Oh yeah, no. I don't think there was anyone who went, "Oh, we know this stuff." No, it's very well presented. The whole thing, I thought.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sieglin says, I knew the anonymous raid was legit because I watched the whole thing brewing on the Chan sites. I warned them of OSA immediately when they decided to go for it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, they a couple of them did go to prison, just so you know. So they are. Scientology can be really nasty. They can.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're at the end. And the last person just said it was excellent.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think everybody really loved it. This was a lot of information and it was well presented, really well presented.
Yeah, thank you again for allowing me to come onto the platform, Tori, and just for you to even reaching out to me and stuff. I greatly appreciate it and always humbled to be able to share information and just always happy to be able to see you and
I know. It's so fun to see to have the two of us be here live. It's so great because we've known each other. When did we meet?
Yeah, I was like about 2010. It's been a while.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been a while. Yeah.
I think so. Well, it's really been great. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody. Wait a second. Okay. Thanks for the great stream, Tori and Ish. Okay. That's from Marcy.
I appreciate it. Absolutely. Well, again, I'm going to call it an evening. I want to thank you again as I'm about to leave. And I want to thank your audience for taking time to view us this evening. I want to wish you abundant peace and blessings. And again, thank you again for having me. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ish. Thank you very, very much. And we'll do it again.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Think about doing a YouTube site. All right. There you go, guys. I'm happy that you guys got to see it live. That was pretty good, huh? Don't you think? I was like, wow. Talk about a fantastic presentation. He knows his information. All right, kids. I'm glad you liked it. I'm going to take off myself. You are very welcome. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everybody who was on. Thank you very, very much. I'm glad. I feel really good about it too. It was a fantastic presentation. I mean, really great. Yeah, it was a good night. It was. All right. Well, thank you. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you. What is today? Today's Monday. So I'll see you Wednesday. All right. Peace out. And Monday night's my night where I'm going to be interviewing people, just so you know. So if you have someone you want me to interview, you can send it to me or Kelly, and we'll put it together. All right. Peace out. I love you guys.